What's the best item in Yeeps history? Well, stay tuned, because in this video, I'm gonna be showing you that. So, peace. Okay, so first off, I would say bombs are automatically out of the question, just because, people can easily eat them when you throw them at them, so they have pretty much no offensive capabilities, except from when, you throw them down like this and throw them last second. But that's still pretty counterable if you're fast. And honestly, just not overall good. But what about bats? With their unlimited uses, high knockback, and cheap cotton, they seem like a great item. But they don't have any movement capabilities, so... yeah, I don't find bats like a very good item. Although they're good, don't get me wrong, they're really good for offense, but I just don't feel like they have the movement capabilities. But what about confetti guns? They have the movement capabilities, the offensive capabilities, and they're fairly cheap. Well, you see, the problem with confetti guns is when you're trying to shoot a moving target, the hitbox can sometimes be really small. And that makes it very difficult to hit people. So these are definitely on one of the top 3, probably. Maybe top 5. But I don't know. They just don't seem that good. What about the Budjo? It has great offensive capabilities, and you can play music with it, which is pretty cool. But the only thing wrong with that is it's one-time use, and it costs quite a bit of cotton, especially in plain mode maps, because you can't passively regain them there. But in creative mode, don't get me wrong, these are probably the best offensive item. But at the same time, they have no movement capabilities. What about hot cocoa? You can drink it to unfreeze yourself, which is really good against freezeball users. I hate freezeball users. You can drink it and throw the mug at yourself for a speed boost, or you can get a speed boost normally from throwing it at your back. So they're great for movement. Only issue is, though, the only way to knock people is to drink the hot cocoa and throw it at people. And that doesn't fling them very far at all. So I think this lacks the offensive capabilities to be classed as one of the best items. But what about pellet guns? They have really good offense. You can use them ranged and close by. You could double shoot them or single shoot them if you want to save cotton. And they're really good for movement, and they're very cheap as well, 300 for the gun and 50 per shot. So I would honestly say this is one of the best items in Yeeps. But what about the rose? If you're really far away from people, then this rose can pull them very quickly towards you, and they're quite cheap as well, at only 250 cotton. The only issue with the rose, though, is it brings them towards you, not away from you. And the other issue with roses is that they're not very good for movement. Even if you hit yourself with them, they do nothing. So, I don't think roses are that good of an item. Still worth it to buy and very fun and only ups. What about the fireworks? This is definitely one of the best items in the movement category. And they've become a lot cheaper, going from 800 to 600 in recent updates. But overall, they're very, very good for movement, and I would definitely recommend at least buying these. But what about freeze balls? They can freeze your opponents, making them not lose any knockback speed until the freeze ball wears off. You can move with them. If you're not aware how, then I'll show you. If you hit yourself with them a few times, you can go very fast, easily reaching height limit. The only counter to these, though, is that you can drink hot cocoa to completely nullify the effect. Or even throw it at someone to nullify the effect on them. But they're very cheap and only 300 per piece. But what about the missile? They're very good for movement, and they're quite good for offense, dealing a lot of damage in health modifier maps, and doing some decent knockback. The only thing is, unless you're using the RPG, which I can't show you because I sadly don't own, they're very difficult to hit someone. And sometimes they don't detonate if you're throwing them too close to you, like this, which can be very annoying. So overall, I would say the missiles are a mid-item. But what about grenades? They're very, very good for movement. They're very cheap, and they're quite good for offense as well. You can also go Super Saiyan if you get knockback protection, which I'll show you. Okay, now I have knockback protection. Now I'll show you my Kaioken! Very fun to do. So overall, I would say the grenades are a pretty good item. But what about the smoke bombs? Well, the smoke bombs, they're quite good in some cases. You can make it completely impossible to see you. Over a pretty good radius as well, and they're only 450 cotton. So I wouldn't say they're that bad. But the only thing is that you can't move with them unless you bomb right, which actually that's very good. But it won't create the smoke down where you were. Unless you do something like this, throw one down, and then bomb right away. You can go through that smoke. So it's pretty decent. I would honestly say that smoke bombs are a mid to good item. What about pillar bombs? Pillar bombs can be very good in some cases. Whether that's building up to sky bases quicker, distracting seekers, blocking pathways, or making an escape in general. They're very good items. And I would honestly say these are a mid to good item. Only counteract though, I'm just gonna let you see. What about the frisbees? They're quite versatile. You can use them for general fun, you can use them to move about, and you can use them to press buttons. I will show you. Pretty cool, don't you think? And you can also grab them back, so they're multi-use. And they can also go very fast if you shoot them with confetti guns. So overall, I would say frisbees are pretty good items. But what about the snowflakes? These are exclusive to the Christmas update, so you can't get them now. But they're similar to the frisbees, except they stick to the walls like ninja stars. They make a really satisfying sound as well. And also they're multi-use and you can eat them after use. You can actually scale walls with only one. It's quite difficult to do though, I prefer using two. You'll see these being used in quite a lot of like item up sort of maps. But yeah, they're very fun to use. And they're very good as well in some cases, so I would say they're a good item. What about the teleport balls? They're pretty cheap, coming at only 500 cotton. You can throw them very, very far, especially if you have previous momentum. And they teleport you there instantly when they land. So overall, I would say that telepearls are... Well, telepearls aren't their actual name, it's portal balls, but everyone calls them telepearls. So that's what I'm going to call them. I would say that telepearls are a very good, underrated item. What about the Halloween bombs, though? Exclusive to the Halloween event. These, when you throw them down, they're like normal bombs, but they produce 3 grenades. Overall, not insanely useful. The grenades don't do too much knockback, so I'm gonna give these a mid. What about the umbrellas? Well, I personally don't own the umbrellas, so I can't show you. I'll show you what they look like on the tech web, however. You can get them pretty close to the fireworks. Just right here. Which is, like, where you want to go when you first start the game anyway. This is where I first went. You can get the bombs, the portal balls, the fireworks. All very good starter items, and it's not very difficult to get to. Not to mention they're pretty cheap to buy. The umbrella's right here. I don't own it, so I can't show you. But you can pretty much become Mary Poppins. When you go in the air, you will float down a lot slower and you will have very good control at where you can go. You can point the umbrella in a direction, and it'll make you go in that direction while still making you fall a lot slower. So overall, I would give umbrellas a very good rating.